Hey guys, it's Dan from Soileater and welcome back to our One Take Wednesday series. Today in episode 21, I'm going to be going over gloves and what I look for when choosing a glove for duty use. I'm also going to be going over kind of the first gloves I ever used up to the gloves that I'm currently using. So, things I look for in a glove, one thing would be all the fingers are intact. I'm not there cutting off the fingers of like my trigger finger. So when I pick that glove, I want it to have dexterity. So I want it to have dexterity so that I can do all the things I would do without the glove with the glove on. Another thing I look for is protection, right? And that's going to be a varying scale because usually the more protection that the glove provides, the lower the dexterity goes. So as protection goes up, dexterity kind of goes down. And that holds true to most gloves, even the more modern ones, which I really like. They still kind of fall into that category. And then next thing would be different seasons, right? So I'm in New York where we have 4 seasons. So summertime, I want a glove that's not going to be super hot, but more importantly, in the wintertime, I want a glove that keeps my my hands warm and functioning so that I'm not out of the fight because I literally can't move my fingers. And we get pretty bone-chilling temperatures in upstate New York, so I want gloves that can keep me in those warm ranges. All right, so when I first started off in law enforcement, it was 2012, and you learn throughout the academy, like, hey, you want a glove that's going to protect you from getting stabbed by like a crack pipe or a stem, as well as needles, right? Again, obviously now, fast forward a bunch of years, 2023, and the heroin pandemic is just out of control, right? Or epidemic, whatever you want to call it. That being said, right, as I got out of the academy, kind of having no experience to getting some experience, you quickly learn that, hey, the techniques they teach you in the academy to pat people down is what's really going to protect you in those situations, right? A glove, may give you a second chance of like, oh, that was something in there, but good search and pat down procedures is what's going to protect you. So the first gloves I ever bought were the gloves I bought in the academy, and those were those leather gloves with a little bunched up at the end, and I'd show them to you if I still have them, but those are long gone at this point. But they were essentially a leather glove, and inside of it was that Kevlar kind of tweave in there, or weave in there, and that was supposed to protect you, right? But realistically, that was only going to protect you from like slashes and not pokes. We all know that, at least I know that now. The problem with those gloves is they took forever to get on because they were super tight, because again, you needed them to be tight to have dexterity to shoot and all those type of things. So you're literally sitting there trying to put on your gloves that really didn't protect you, and you kind of lost all the dexterity. So the risk versus reward, the balance there just was not there for those gloves. I quickly went back to gloves that I was familiar with, having owned Jeep Cherokee XJ that I used to go off-roading in quite a bit. I was getting decently handy only because the thing kept breaking down with being mechanical work, and was a pair of Mechanix gloves. So Mechanix gloves were very useful. They were about $20. You could go to any auto store like Advanced Auto and Auto Parts, any of those things, and you could find them on the shelves, right? They sat there. They were all black. Some had the white Mechanix writing on the side. So they were readily available. They were pretty cheap. And the nice thing about Mechanix gloves were they provided some awesome dexterity, right? So the guys, Mechanix are obviously using tools and socket wrenches and screwdrivers and whatever else. So it provided a little bit of protection for their hands, so they're not smashing up against rusty frames of the cars and stuff like that. But they allowed the dexterity, right? And they were nice because you could quickly throw them on. You didn't even really need to buckle the elastic on the bottom or fasten the elastic on the bottom, right? They kind of just stayed on there, and this is basically how I wore them. So the second set of gloves I had were Mechanix gloves. They were all black with the white writing, and Mechanix quickly learned that, hey, some of the guys in the tactical community, military, soft, that type of shit, were also wearing them. So later on in my career, they came out with like the tan, the coyote, and then later on, as you can see here, these were the last pair that I bought, and these are obviously in God's Plaid or M81. Again, same thing, provided great dexterity, decent protection on your hands, right? So now, again, they would protect you a little bit from fluids, but nothing too crazy. Again, if you were dealing with someone who was bleeding and had all the nasty on them, you would always want to throw on some latex gloves, right? You could throw latex gloves on and these over them, or vice versa, so you didn't get your gloves all nasty. Most of the time, it was either these gloves or I'd throw on latex gloves. And the main reason why I wear gloves on the road is just that. Like, I don't want to get people's nastiness on me, right? People have been sweating all day. They have all sorts of diseases and whatever else. I just feel more comfortable grabbing them with gloves. And then at the end of my shift, if they're real nasty, I bring them home and wash them, right? Or, you know, and I wouldn't necessarily wash them in my washing machine either. I would put a bucket out and, you know, hand wash them in there. Just stuff like that, right? So you want to keep them separate from your family stuff, especially if you have kids. But it gives you kind of one layer of protection from directly grabbing onto people, right? Your skin really is the first level, and as long as you don't have any cuts and stuff on your hands, you're probably good, but it was a good peace of mind to wear the gloves. So with those gloves, I want them to be quick to put on. That's something that's important to me. If you're sitting there talking to someone who's becoming a no person or turning into a jerk, and you're sitting there like trying to get on your gloves, like that'd be the time I'd try to punch in the face, right? So make sure that whatever gloves you do pick, you can quickly just throw them on, and that's it. The one thing that Mechanix gloves didn't really have, and you learn this as the phones became more advanced, was you couldn't really answer the phone at the time. Some of them, if they got worn down a little bit more, you could answer the phones, but originally you couldn't slide the little bar like on an iPhone to answer the phone. So I wore Mechanix gloves all the way up until SKD Tactical came out with their Pig Alphas. And I basically should just end the video there. If you're gonna buy a pair of gloves, spoiler alert, SKD Tactical, the Alphas, the Deltas, whatever else. I'm not sponsored by them. They don't know who the hell I am, but they make incredible gloves. It was really game-changing. By the time, like, Mechanix gloves were good. Everyone likes Mechanix gloves. SKD Tactical came out with the Alphas, and they're phenomenal. I'll go over them real quick. So almost the exact same material, very similar than that the Mechanix gloves have, that the Pig gloves have for the palms and fingers on the inside, right? It's this very good dexterity material here. These seem a little softer. They do get chewed up, I would say, probably a little faster than Mechanix gloves did. And you'll notice there's a little bit of venting on the front here. The one really nice thing about these gloves was that they ended up being touch screen enabled. So you could slide the slider on your phone. I believe the index finger as well as your thumb both have that technology. They might be all of them now. I know they've increased it, but there used to be little silver lines on here that would work for your screens. I think now all of them do. But it would allow you to answer the phone. You could sit there and text, but obviously I would just pull my gloves off to do that. But that was kind of game changing. Being able to answer your phone without having to pull your gloves off. These are brand new gloves that I'm wearing right here, but don't be that dude who's like, you know, wearing gloves to protect himself and then goes to take them off and like bites the finger and pulls them off. Like, you just defeated all the purpose and you might need penicillin. So don't do that. The one thing really nice with the SKD Pig gloves also is that they did have a little bit of knuckle protection. All right, I'm gonna call you out right now. Go ahead and subscribe if you were ever the person who had the Oakley hard knuckle gloves. If you were that person, which you probably are, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. All right, so yeah, a lot of people love those gloves. They were like, oh, I'm gonna log on to Standard Issue and I'm gonna buy those pair of Oakley gloves with the big knuckles, right? Or like the motorcycle gloves. There were some other ones out there. Let's put it this way. You don't need hard knuckle gloves really to do anything, like even breaching. Like, I'm not punching anything. I do want a little bit of protection on my knuckles. And that's what this little foam here does, is it helps protect your knuckles if like you overswing the bone or hit the ram or hit the frame, or, you know, you're swinging a sledge and hit something. Like, it kind of gives you that little bit of buffer, but you don't have those big hard knuckles which look terrible on body cam, social media, or anything like that. Like, if you're sitting there punching someone with your knuckles, like, you're probably wrong to begin with. There's better ways that protect your hands for providing the equal amount of force to take someone to custody or whatever the situation, right? So like, if you're punching someone in your hands and like gonna break your fingers, like, cool, there's better ways. So you don't really need those. But a lot of places also, you know, their policies and procedures ban those hard knuckle gloves, right? So SKD Tactical took that in consideration, gave you a little bit of foam padding in here to help provide that protection, right? And it was just enough that's really all you needed. So these gloves are great. They could use on your phone. They protected your knuckles. They were affordable, and then they're quick to slip on. Again, I very rarely will actually buckle them because I like being able to take them off quickly if I need to. But again, they have a nice little Velcro fastener on the bottom there that protect them. The one thing I will say about them, maybe I have extremely short pinkies, or whoever whatever model they utilized for the hands here had really long pinkies. I don't know, but their pinkies don't fit me. Everything else fits fine. For reference, these are an extra large, and these are the alphas, I believe. So these gloves I would wear definitely for like any tactical team, anything where you're doing breaching, or going to be a little more rough on your hands. For patrol, I would recommend the deltas. So I believe these are the deltas. I do wear a size large in the deltas, so they're a little harder to get on. You can see it takes me a little bit longer, but the amount of dexterity I have here without any sort of fastener, right? So I don't have to worry about that. The amount of dexterity I have here is really good. Again, the pinky super long. I don't know why I have short pinkies, maybe, but these have a rubberized texture on them, very similar to like think of like football gloves, like catching gloves, or they're not as grippy as like goalie gloves for soccer, but they have a little bit of rubberized texture there. And you'll see once again the thumb and the index finger are both usable for cell phones. All right, so screens like your MDT, your computer in your car, you can click that and they'll work on these. So again, for any sort of like warmer weather or moderate weather, these are the gloves, my go-to gloves. Whenever I'm doing a search warrant, I'll start off with these, even if it's in the wintertime, and same with callouts. But if for whatever reason we're going to be outside for an extended period of time, I live in New York. There's a bunch of seasons, right? It can get very cold in New York. We get lake effect snow, and with the wind chill and whatnot, it can get very cold in New York. So SKD Tactical also has a winter set of pig gloves. I don't know which ones these are called, but again, with the added insulation, the temperature goes up, but the dexterity goes down. Again, these are probably the best ones I've had that kind of do a very good balance of keeping your hands nice and warm, as well as giving you as much dexterity as you can. You'll also notice with these are very similar, again, to like the football gloves, but also a little bit more rubbery, I would say. So all the fingers, as well as the thumb, have a rubberized texture on them, which, they're super grippy. People might like that, people might not. The fingers, again, you can use on cell phones, but it's a good mix of being nice and warm as well as having that dexterity. So usually what I do in the wintertime is I'll keep these gloves in my pockets of my pants, and then the gloves I go out on the field with will be the SKD Alphas. And I'll wear these, and if I know now I'm going to be out there for an extended period of time, let's say on a surrounding call out or a barricaded, I will then switch these out, throw these in the cargo pockets, put these on, and now I have an extra set of gloves in my pockets in case I need them. One thing, if you guys didn't watch the One Take Wednesday on cold weather gear, a good little pro tip that I use quite a bit is the little hand warmers. I'll take the hand warmers and I'll put them on the back side of my glove. So they go on the back side here, and that helps keep my hand warm. If you're sitting for an extended period of time, you can flip it around, but the problem with having them here is now if I need to shoot or whatever else, I've got this big lump here, where when it's on the back side, it's still radiating the heat throughout your hand, but not getting in the way of being able to do whatever tasks at hand that you need. All right, so there's kind of my progression of gloves, but again, the things I'm looking for to kind of highlight that would be I need good dexterity. Anything I do with gloves on or with gloves off, I need to be able to do with gloves on, right? So if you're not sure if you get a new set of gloves, make sure you're going and doing some dry fire at home, or kind of any sort of task that you would have to do at work. Do them before you go out there on duty so that you're not finding out right then and there, like, hey, these gloves suck, I can't shoot my gun, for example, right? Go to the range, shoot your gun, or even just draw your pistol several times and dry fire at home or in the locker room, whatever else. So make sure that it works for you prior to going out there. And then affordability, right? Like most departments don't provide you gloves. They're kind of one of those things that's unique for you. Like you have to pick out which glove works for you. There's a bunch of them out there. If you guys have any gloves that you'd recommend that you think are better than the Pig Alphas or Pig Deltas, let me know, because I want to try them out. So throw a comment in there in the comments and let me know. And realistically, I'll say this. At the end of the day, pick whatever gloves work for you. If your department doesn't provide it for you, go out there and buy it, because a good pair of gloves is going to save your ass. So until next week, take care.